Oh, cool. It's got a watermark on there. I didn't realize that. It looks like the one similar to Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. Um, I might actually, that might be like a perfect segue into just like what this video is going to be about. I'm obviously playing Final Fantasy VII uh, Reunion Crisis Core, or you could probably go Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, and then like Reunion would be like the kind of spin on what this game in particular is. That might be how I would interpret the title of this game, but that's obviously the game that's being played. But I think I'm probably going to be talking about everything but the game in this video because uh, it was nice to do like an update, small update on what I plan to do on some of the Final Gundam streams. But in the Witch on the Holy Night video, that's what the final like 10 minutes of that video was. And I have a feeling that's probably going to be what this video is going to be about, because I really have some things I want to like touch on um, as far as some of the streams and recent games that I played, but and also because like some of the main stuff that happens in this video gameplay wise is stuff that happens in the next video. So I'll probably touch on even like battle mechanics and stuff like that. I'll probably go more in depth on that in the next video, but you know I don't know, I kind of want to, I don't know, I think I want to touch more on like what I've done recently instead of kind of delving into the watermark. Made me kind of want to go back and talk about Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, because I was playing that game at one point, doing live commentaries over that before ultimately taking it down because um, I was kind of going heavy in some of the RPGs that um, would have definitely like bloomed into like a new game plus territory, and um, I just felt like I wanted to take a different direction. But this video shares a very similar watermark in the bottom left corner, and that's what made me want to go talk about that. But I think I'm just going to talk about Gundam and how that all started and really what that turned into. I know it can be a lot. It's probably gonna take a while for me to go back and watch each one of those, mainly because every video is its own separate video, which is what makes that game so awesome. But uh, so I can like start about like you know around the time I discovered like the beam sabers in that game. Like it, when I first picked that game up, I had, I was gonna play it regardless. That was my mindset, and I think this is probably the third time I've mentioned this, but I'll go more in depth this time. It was really just the game that I was enjoying, and then me kind of just, going about it in a similar way I have everything else, and just seeing what was happening is what led to the first video being created, because it was two parts and essentially two skills at the time, if I remember correctly. So as long as you're playing with an all-rounder, now I know that maybe that part can be equipped on other Gundams, since that's something that I've noticed. Like if you're playing that game just for anyone who, other people who upload or play that game casually, it would seem as if any part that you get in that game, it might seem class specific when you're trying to do something with any one of the three classes, albeit an infighter, all-rounder, or sharpshooter. But what I learned, excuse me, in my experience towards the end of when I was streaming that game is that any part that you get, you know, um, it can be equipped on other Gundams. You just have to find it, and they're not all um, being read. Like let's just say you get like a range plus 40 chip, part one, or part two that has like an additional effect. It now for some of the earlier chips, interpreting it might be a lot easier, um, just because of the effects. It'll be easier to find. That's the only reason why. But some of the latter chips where it would seem as if there's other chips that have a potentially similar effect that you could equip, you have to pay attention more carefully. But just know that the beam saber part, all I'm saying is, like, if you wanted to put the beam saber part on like Gundam Epion for whatever reason, you could do that. You just have to find it. I haven't found it yet because I haven't looked for it. But and that's a perfect segue into just like how I went about even making the first video. It was something I noticed, and I had the time, so I made the video. And there were other Gundams to be unlocked, and at the time, just like even with everything else that's come about, that's on the channel, it's just something that I did and uploaded, right? So, like, with that being said, I knew there's other stuff that could have been done in that game, but I didn't know if I was ever going to get to it. And to be quite honest, like, how I play that game, I still don't have a Gundam at level 100. I haven't got those parts yet. I don't know, what mission I'm not doing, but it doesn't really bother me because, um, I was trying to tell a different story, and I didn't need to do that. So I wasn't, you know, but I think if I wanted to, I could very easily go. There's plenty of people who have uploaded videos that could, you know, tell you what parts to equip for particular Gundams to get like the most efficient DPS. So I could very well get to level 100. I just haven't had the need to. But it was, and then from there, like, I made the Gather Road video. I thought that was gonna be it, but then the Truest thing happened, and how that came about is I was gonna, like, my final video of that game was gonna be a stream of me fighting Gundam Latreia on the water with the Z Gundam, and because I knew I could put the Z soundtrack on that mission, if you were to change the music, you can do that, and it worked. And so I was going to stream it, but for the sake of a better fight, I upgraded Gundam Latreia, or the Z Gundam, excuse me. Hope that wasn't too loud. I tried to catch that one. There's a massive jump scare in the Gundam Latreia video, just talking about it, that I made towards the end. I do apologize for that. I was going to, like, let people know about it, but I didn't want to ruin the ambiance of that video for what it's worth. So, but no, back to the Truest thing. So, like, I figured out that you could do it. So, since that mission's like level 2 naturally, and my Z Gundam was like level 1 without the beam saber part, I don't know how the fight would have played out, but I could have done it with music, which is what my goal was. So, I leveled the Z Gundam up high enough to where I could equip him with the beam saber part and really just do the mission. So I think it was like a level 15 Z Gundam I started out with. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and watch the Truest Saber video that's on my channel now. But I did it, and the music wasn't working, and so I knew something was off. And then, I was kind of like, well, why isn't it working? That's such a, if it worked for a level 2 Gundam, I really could, if I wanted to, just taking my level 15 or however high the Z Gundam was back to like level 1, just lose all the capital and progress and then redo it. But then I was like, well, there has to be a reason. So then I was like, well, is there something else to this game? Because I thought the Gatherer was going to be it. I wasn't going to try to figure out if there was other things that were, kind of out there outside the beam saber thing. So like, with that being said, I um, was like, well, this all kind of stems back to the fact that I'm still not level 100. Like, in order to unlock the Gather Road and Latreia, I had to do some very hard missions that I can't remember if one of them were hard or not. I think they were, and that's why they were difficult the first time around, and they were difficult the second time around. But so like the first time I was trying to just beat the game, period, I ran into like one of the, I think there's like two fights with in the G universe with Hermes Hermes Mercury Hermes Mercury, and they're both incredibly hard. And I was playing with just like the regular GM Gundam that is like you do with the tutorial with, and he was level 50, and things were could have been better, but they're more than enough for me, if that makes sense, of how I was just going about trying to beat the game. And then I ran into those missions, so I spent all the capital I had to get the command Gundam as high as he would go, and I still remember it was like barely getting by, like the skin of my teeth. Like it was not um, like those Latreia fights. I can't remember if it was actually Hermes Mercury and Latreia, but like they were incredibly difficult. And I remember when I was looking at the skills that I had on the command Gundam and trying to just get him as like modded for the fight as I could, nothing was changing. I was doing it over and over and over again, and then I was like, well, I guess this is where the game ends for me. Then I was like, well, let me just see something. So I had equipped these skills, and they were I don't remember what they were. I think they were I don't know. There were skills I thought would take his shields down quicker, and I felt like if I could do that with how I had just learned that mission after playing it so long, that I could beat it. And eventually that's what happened. But even after I changed the skills around, it was incredibly hard, and that's what led to me unlocking the Gather Road and the Latreia suit, which I actually, which are videos that have like voiceovers on them, right? So like they're not on the stream side of the channel. So with that said, that was before I discovered the truest saber build. So after I figured out that the soundtrack changed once I leveled up the Z Gundam, I was like, well, let me just see what would happen if I were to equip those three skills that I had used to take the shields off the Latreia boss quicker. And that's what I did, and I noticed the beam sabers were pulsing a little bit sharper than they were before. So that's what led me to believe, like, well, maybe the penultimate fight would be like, would be like against the Flash of Fate mission. So that's what I started doing, and then after having the beam saber part and those skills equipped on it, I can't remember if I even added any other parts. I think I was so excited that that was a thing that I didn't want to ruin what was just happening, period. So it might have just been I was just grinding out Flash of Fate until I felt like the fight would have been like scaled appropriately, and that's what led the Z Gundam to being at level 80 and me running that mission twice at the end of that video. And then everything after that was just me kind of continuing on with how I felt the game was going relative to how the Beam Saber story was being told. And it was, the New Game Plus started out with the Banshee Gundam, which led to the Providence Gundam, and that was something that was shown to me as I was playing with the Banshee Gundam. with the truest saber skills and some parts I can't remember off the top of my head. Obviously, I have to go back and look at my own video, but everything just kind of it was just it made sense to me as someone who had been playing that game. It's hard to um, you know describe. It's not like I was cracking some code. It was really just a natural progression, which is what made playing it and obviously going back and rewatching it just so much fun for me. Uh, and I hope for other people too. But after I made the Gather Road video, I didn't know I had no idea things were gonna blow up that way, and I'm glad that they did. I mean, the Z Gundam fight and the Truest Saber Skills video. I mean, that was fun to play, and I hope people can go back and enjoy that. But it was it really was the game. It wasn't like I was doing anything special other than playing it, and that's how everything kind of sprinkled in between and after, and however it's situated in the uploads between the streams and the videos that I've made recently. Like that's all I'm doing. I'm just playing these games. So like that's really kind of the Gundam story in a nutshell. I that's how I played it. If you're interested in that game and you want to kind of do some of the stuff that I was doing, then I encourage you to you know play it that way. But like there are other YouTubers whose videos I've watched to try to get a good understanding of how I can get like the most damage out per second and for me so I can beat a game. So what I'm doing isn't set in stone or law. It's just something I wanted to share, and it really did kind of blow up. But I do want to get to talking about some of the other games. You know, Definitely fun to play. You know, Even the library and the cutscene replays was just like a perfect, just like I don't know, ending really to that game. I can't even think of a word. Like there's probably one better out there, but I can't think of it right now. That was just like a perfect ending to that game. But after having said all of that about Gundam SD Battle Alliance, that it's I actually don't think I'm done playing that game, and that's kind of where I'm at now with it. So like I guess I'll go ahead and explain this. I was going to kind of keep it a secret, especially for some of the people that worked on that game, but in me kind of playing it, I felt like kind of taking it to the grave was what was supposed to happen, but this is probably the perfect opportunity. I don't think anyone that worked on it would be mad that I'm talking about it in this video is my point, but so like after the hard mode play, I guess it would be the GP03S Stamen playlist, and everything that happened with Gundam F99 in the middle of that, which I just liken that to how I transitioned from the Banshee Gundam to the Providence Gundam in the New Game Plus playlist. It was just the natural progression of how things were happening. So with me discovering Sakura Slash in the Sakura Slash ability in that same playlist, that led to me again kind of a similar space to you do the full beam saber thing, and then it's like, well, let me just fool around with this, and then you discover the truest, you know just like how I was moving from Gundam to Gundam. I mean, that's how the game just was naturally happening, right? So like I had I did the GP03S Stamen, and then I was like, well, the whole after that, and ironically, how everything is centered around the idea of a beam saber, and a full one at that, and truest, depending on how you want to play. Um, you uh, the idea of the Principality of Xeon in that game is very, very prevalent. There's a mission in one of the playlists. I believe it's the one where I'm playing with the Banshee Gundam. And there's a mission called the Descending Sword. And at the end of that video, there's a Gundam who's like behind these rocks where the mission ends, who's just shooting you. And I think I knocked him down at first. I did when I attacked it. But as the mission was ending, he got back up. And the Zaku who I brought along in that mission attacked him as he was moving backwards. And he was continuing to shoot. Lore wise, was he taking damage? Sure, doesn't matter in the situation, no, because he was still moving backwards. And that was like my favorite moment in that whole playlist, probably, because it was just how the beam saber happened and how they show the Principality of Xeon in that game. And I don't know, maybe there's some people that don't care, but to me, I see it and I'm like, it's almost like you want to. I'm definitely like a fan of like the beam sabers, but I did want to kind of see if I could find the parts necessary to do something similar since it was a thing in that game. And to be completely honest, excuse me, you learn pretty quickly that that's what their pilots and their whole um, thing is about, right? And just the idea of them just like being not just fearless, but like really like resilient to the idea of failure or just seceding. Period is the best way to put it, and how I said it before. But like in the Witch on the Holy Night video, but like in so that's what I did, right? So I was like, well, let me see like if I can play the game, given everything that I had done, and see if there's a way I can get some parts that can somehow make me impervious to just, stagger, which is kind of like their thing, right? You know, so I'm sure there were some earlier missions I could have done, maybe with just a traditional Zaku suit, or maybe the Golf Custom that would have, had I brought along the right teammates, given me um, a similar part, similar parts that would have given off that similar effect. But even then, I'm sure I would have had to replay the game just like I did with the beam saber to see the natural progression. But since I had discovered everything with the beam sabers up until this point, I was like, well, I was kind of like, well, like it was an idea in my head, and I was like, one that I'm seeing in the game. So I was like, it's just a matter of finding it for me. So after kind of like failing with some of the parts that I already just had inherently, um, one night I was like, the final thing I wanted to do, I was like, let me just like, let me just put on my like Final Fantasy hat here. So um, I took a, uh, I took a level, I can't remember if he was level 80 at the time. Um, uh, I don't, I can't remember if he was level 80. And for the, I really want to get this right too, because I don't want people to like not get it wrong. I can't remember if my Z Gundam was level 80 or not. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Okay, so like what I did was like, okay, because I had already like had a Z Gundam fight, especially on Flash of Fate, I had no problem doing this. But what I did was I erased all the progress on that Z Gundam, and I got it to level 44. But out of all the stats that you can use to level up any particular Gundam, like in the RX 72 video, how I was playing with those bars as I was leveling him up to level 15 before the mission. Those bars, out of, if you max out boost and HP until the Z Gundam gets level 44, just those two categories, not the other three, I don't remember what those are, but for the sake of what I'm talking about, if you max out boost and HP until the Z Gundam gets to level 44, equip the Sakura Slash abilities, and the Beam Saber part, obviously, since it's an all-arounder, and run, what's the very first mission where you fight Hermes Mercury's name called? It's oh, In the Name of G. And I think I even did it on like, I can't remember if it was easy or normal. It might have been on like, it definitely wasn't on hard, because I would have remembered having to get through that since I was level 44. I really do think it was easy. So if you run In the Name of G on easy, that's the name of the mission you need to do with a level 44 Z Gundam, maxed out boost and HP, equip the Beam Saber part and Sakura Slash abilities, and complete it with the first partner being the pilot of the Gundam, the O. It's a big golden Gundam with a cone, has like a cone head, but it's got a ball on the top, I think, if I remember it correctly. And then the pilot of the Quebly Gundam, it's a girl. Those two have to be your partners, in addition to doing everything that I just said and complete it. You're going to get like, I think, 3 parts. Equip those 3 parts and do Big Zam's Last Stand on easy as well with those same teammates, and the same Z Gundam. Complete it on easy, and you're going to get 4 parts. Equip the highest level parts from the Big Zam mission, and just equip the best ones available out of those 2 missions after completing them, given all the parameters that I mentioned needed for this to be like a thing. Like, equip the highest level ones after the Big Zam's Last Stand mission. Ones that have additional effects, and the math will work out to where you'll know the parts that I'm talking about. You do In the Name of G with the how I told you to do it, you're going to get 3 parts. Equip those 3 parts in addition to the Beam Saber part, and do Big Zam's Last Stand. Then you'll get 4 parts. Equip 3 of the best ones from that one, and then you'll know which one to switch out from the parts that you got from In the Name of G, if that makes sense. Then I was using Gundam Epion with those same 4 parts that I got up until I got to the Shuddering Mountain, and then you'll get another set of parts. Just equip the best 4 ones from that after doing that mission with Gundam Epion and those same 2 teammates with those parts in a similar boost, level 44 Epion, maxed out boost and HP. You're going to get 4 parts after doing the Shuddering Mountain. If you equip those 4 parts, it might even be, I think it was more than 4 you get, but you'll know which ones to equip after doing the Shuddering Mountain with a level 44 Epion spec, just like the Z Gundam that did Big Zam's Last Stand and In the Name of G, and then those parts equipped with I'm still using. I think I'm still using the Sakura slash abilities, and you will be able to see how you can move without being like knocked down. And a good example of that would be in the very first video that I made of the thumbnail that features, what is his name? He pilots the Arc Gundam. But he in that video, I think the second to last video in the Epion playlist, there's a fight. There's a moment where I'm fighting the Red Comet Char as Noble, and there's like two or three times where like one time he even went through me just entirely, and I didn't move to the left or the right, and there was two times where I remember outside of that instance actually moving through his beam energy, but it was after I had moved a certain way, and I think I maybe shot or maybe sat still for a certain amount of time. But I'm gonna play more with it, especially now since I think I'm done kind of playing other game or just playing games period. See how it works, but maybe as I'm doing playing with a Z Gundam, and so that would be like kind of like my farewell or the last thing I do in that game. Um, it wasn't something I planned to do, but the more and more I think about it, just like how everything has kind of happened thus far with SD Gundam Battle Alliance, like I think it would work out. But and I've actually already done it. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it. The Z Gundam, I have a level 44 Z Gundam, obviously from when I had to start everything I had just talked about. But I did equip it with the Shuddering Mountain, uh, you know, uh, Principality of Xeon build parts, if you will. And I actually got on to test it out, and I think it was actually yesterday, and I got I think a Chaos mission notification about a breakout in what was the mission? Oh, to a future that never ends. So um, that lets me know that I actually found the right parts for that Gundam for that build, because I have that build on the Gundam Epion, because that's the Gundam you have to use to get it, and then on the Arc Gundam, and um, now the Z Gundam. But I'm happy I was able to find it, and the fact that I got a mission, Chaos mission notification for a breakout, and the mission called for a future that never ends, just kind of cements that those were the right parts for that build for that Gundam, because uh, Gundam Epion is an infighter. So when I wanted to, I could see what parts I had equipped for that Gundam per that build, but finding it for an all-rounder was different. But I was able to do it, just from finding what sound, what looks, what appears to be the that part in a um, another class, how that reads. So the fact that I got that notification, I'm going to double check the parts just to make sure that they're at the right level and that they sound comparable to what's on uh, Gundam Epion. But once I do that, and I'll probably just do that at the start of the next time I stream that game, which would be me, essentially beating the whole thing, just playing with the Z Gundam and the Principality of Xeon build with the Sakura slash abilities. Um, that would be me obviously further testing that build out, playing with that Gundam, and um, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I mean, it's just something I wanted to do, and I think I'm going to do it. And the Gundam's already spec'd for it, so all the stars are kind of aligned um, relative to kind of where I want to go with that. Um, with that said, before I kind of leave, get SD Gundam Battle Alliance because that's kind of the last thing I want to say about that game. Um, right now, you know, there's a lot on the channel of it, and I think I'm gonna head back into it. Um, uh, so I talked about earlier how to get the parts needed for the invincibility or the principality build. It's definitely not invincibility. You sustain damage and you definitely stagger a lot, but it would seem as if you play right and with those parts, you do have moments where um, it would seem as if you know you are impervious to just anyone moving you while you're in that Gundam, which is awesome. Um, I told you how to get those parts. So, like, for instance, I think everything up until when I did the Shuddering Mountain and the Gundam Epion playlist, those are with the parts that I got after I completed Big Zam's Last Stand with the Z Gundam maxed out boost HP level 44 soccer slash abilities in the Beam Saber part. Um, After I did the Shuddering Mountain, I actually changed at some point into that build, but essentially it's the exact same thing. It's probably just a lesser version of everything that came after the Shuddering Mountain, obviously, when I was playing with Gundam Epion in that playlist. So I just kind of wanted to clear the air up on that. Um, what else happened? Recently, NATO anomalies, obviously. Yeah, it is. Uh, yeah, I really do enjoy how some of these games. I mean, every time I play a game, I don't know it's going to turn out the way it does. It's just I play it how I want to play it, and it's how I was playing Final Fantasy off camera before I even got on YouTube. I mean, it's how I play any video game. So, you know, having said that, the first time I picked up NATO Anomalies, I didn't know. I thought that game might have taken like I thought. I mean, because I didn't know SD Gundam Battle Alliance was going to continue. But I mean, it was really fortunate for me that things ended up playing out that way. But I had to play them first for that to be a thing. But it was a nice cherry on top of that cake. Uh, Even like Ender Lilies, like that was just me kind of, I had the game downloaded, obviously. Um, Kind of funny story. I was gonna stream me doing that, and it probably, well, clearly it would have turned out the exact same. Maybe not if I had taken a while to actually start the stream. Uh, per when the game was loading, but another kind of thing that I just, I picked up where I left off in that game, right? Build wise, I can't remember the lilies I used in particular, but um, that's just how it played out after I played that game for an hour, and I was pretty much gonna do short episodes until I'd beaten that game, because I think I'm not sure like where Knight Captain Julius is relative to just that game. But that's where I was, and I felt like I was over halfway through, and that since I had already unlocked him, you know, it would have just been perfect streaming wise. But I couldn't stream that game of me playing Ender Lilies, and it's not funny, but the account that game's downloaded on, I mean, it's on my PlayStation, so I can, or I don't think I can, because I don't think that's why. No, I can on my other account, but because I already have it downloaded, right? But the saved data of the Knight Captain Julius file was on an account that's been banned for like some time now over a chargeback, which I don't want to explain how it happened, but I mean it's really because like of how I have to use PlayStation Live now is probably the best way to put it. It's not like back in the day where, I was paying for it like pretty much annually, um, through my credit card or whatever. But because I'm not doing that now, and I still wanted to, um, play online or just download game. I guess it would have had to been for online play. Um, I didn't technically end it, and because it's not connected to a credit card or it could be resolved monetarily, the account got banned. So I couldn't stream any. I could still stream that game on my other account because it's downloaded on my PlayStation and they're both users. But it would have had to been from the very beginning, and because I wanted to pick up with Night Captain Julius and just that my position in that game relative to um, what I wanted to do, the way I could have captured any footage of me playing with that game with Night Captain Julius would have been, you know, through the share function, and it would have been saved straight to my capture gallery, which is what happened. And when I went in there, I noticed after playing it, doing it, everything that I intended to do and just talked about doing, it came out to that length. So, I mean, that coming after Metal Anomalies was, I mean, that's just what happened. I don't know, I can't explain it. And get some water in a minute. This happened when I was doing Witch on the Holy Night. I guess I could try to stop it, but it's going to create a small difference. I don't want to do that. I think I'm just going to make this video. But what was I talking about? Yeah, the Ender Lilies. I mean, I had no idea it was going to turn out to be that way, but it was like, pretty cool. All because, I had played the game previously and was playing it a certain way. Not saying that's the right way, but given everything that was happening story-wise, it made sense. That's what I did. But to give an example, I don't always do that. Like, Bloodborne, I mean, that's more of a cosplay thing, so maybe that's not appropriate per what I'm trying to do, like, with telling a story and Ender Lilies as a game. But I don't, it just made sense, and that's what I did. And, because I couldn't stream it on the account that data was saved. I mean, that capture, that's just how it happened. I can't really say much more about it. But with, some of the older videos, I'll go back and obviously watch them. That's probably actually one of my favorite parts about making videos is not just the videos themselves, but getting a chance to kind of really actually see what's going on in the community. It's nice. So yeah, I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I think I'm obviously gonna go into SD Gundam Battle Alliance one more time. But I think after that, it's probably gonna be just it for now. I think I'm gonna have like, there's a couple videos that were on my channel at one point. One in particular, a music video. I hope it makes its way back on my channel. But there's some other videos that were on YouTube at one point that were pretty funny that I can't remember if they were like before the whole pandemic or not. They probably were like around the very, or actually I think it was like well before the pandemic. Now I'm thinking about it, but that will make that I hope as well makes its way back onto my channel. But I think after this, this video and the next one and the final Z Gundam streams that I plan on doing with Gundam ST Battle Lines are probably it for a while. But for me at least, going back and seeing some of these videos, I hope would be pretty fun. Um, it's so cool that this video has that watermark on it. I can't get over that. That's one thing I really liked about Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, outside of the game itself. And I actually did unlock the lion heart in that game. Excuse me, I had kind of like worked my way up story wise to the point where that can become a reality. I think. I don't remember grinding it like, you know, prematurely or anything. I mean, because I don't think I would have been able to do that if I was too low of a level, but I just remember being deep enough in that game after streaming it, or I wasn't streaming it, I was playing it, making live commentary playthroughs, and I did unlock the lion heart. I think what happened is I was like making live commentary playthroughs, and for the sake of just really getting through the game, kind of relative to just, you know, what was going on, I just started making videos, and I did unlock that sword. And it was right around the time that I would have been heading into like New Game Plus and other games. It would have been a perfect, like, if I could have continued to make voiceovers, but it didn't happen. But I think kind of the space I'm in now is pretty cool. I hope that, I hope to go back and watch all the videos I've made and really continue, you know, sharing in that way. I feel like I'm missing out on some things. I don't know. I guess I can talk about this game for a little bit. It's kind of really the extent of the update. Get some water in. So, like, you know, when it comes to this game, after having played it, and, you know, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, everything else that's come after that, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, is how that works out. But I think it's safe to say this is like, obviously in that series, obviously, but in that generation, with it being Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, timeline wise, I'm not sure how that all works out, but this is, I mean, obviously the battle interface is similar, but having played this, you know, I got a very heavy Kingdom Hearts vibe with just how the combat played out, which is weird because, you know, it's not Kingdom Hearts, but, you know, with the particle effects and just kind of how the story was being told to a lesser extent, like, and stuff like that, like, it's just, that's the vibe I got. But excuse me, I'm saying this is a standalone from Final Fantasy VII Remake because for me hopefully making this video and uploading it, and the second one, I mean, I don't even know if the menus are the same as Final Fantasy VII Remake. I can't talk on that. I can only talk on this. I mean, you know, the fighting feels like Kingdom Hearts to me a little bit. You know, outside of that, you know, what you're saying is what you're getting. Excuse me. It's definitely there's more to talk about where I want to go with this, but I'm gonna have to do it in the second video because that's where it happens. But you know, as far as this video, I think it's a perfect. This was fun to play. Hopefully, you know, it'll be fun for people to watch, and it this is probably actually might be the most Final Fantasy like game that I've ever played with the story that's told, and that'll make sense after the second video. Like this is, I really haven't played a Final Fantasy game like this. I mean, you know, there's different types out there, but how this ended made this one for me like, I'm not going to say my favorite because Final Fantasy XD to me might be one of the best games of all time, but I mean, like, this game is pretty, I felt like there was a story to be told and they told it. It's the best way to put it. You know, I mean, it's there if you want to listen. You'll see it in the second video, but I mean, this video is pretty awesome. You know, I guess I can talk about what I'm doing in this video as well. Like, what I wanted to do and what I planned on doing with this game was playing this for, you know, upwards of about 3 hours or so. You know, making a video like this, and then well, my plan was, alright, so I was going to play this for 3 hours from beginning to end, like at the start of the game, and save that footage, make a video like this, and then I was going to do that same thing again after I unlocked the Buster Sword. So I'm making the video now, but I had captured the footage for this video, obviously, you know, probably like, I don't know, two weeks ago now. And then very shortly after, I unlocked the Buster Sword. Well, maybe not very shortly after, because I think it was like, I can't remember what I was doing, but like, eventually unlocked the Buster Sword, and pretty much immediately saved the game, and just did this again, but only for 2 hours. And then because I wanted to play more with the Buster Sword, I went into the 3rd hour territory, but it's not longer than 3 hours because the third clip stops probably anywhere from around 58 minutes to 59 minutes, because that's how long the captures have to be. It's going to be about 2 hours and 50 minutes. So there's going to be this video, and then the second one with me playing with the Buster Sword. And I do that obviously because I worked hard to unlock it and wanted to showcase it in the video since it wasn't in this one. But I use it for a little bit, and then some other things happen, which, you know, that's you know, what makes that video. What it is, really. But I don't know, I think I'm kind of, like I said, I think I'm going to try to make this video, and the next one, obviously, you know, play this last Gundam stream playlist with the Z Gundam, and that's probably going to be it for a while. But with that having been said, you know, I kind of like to play games. I really actually want to continue with, oh wow, I can talk about that. I haven't talked about that. Octopath Traveler 2. That might be a perfect way to talk. That game is actually pretty incredible. I picked it up obviously, and you know, you have the option of picking one of, like, I don't know how many heroes there are, but I ended up picking a character named Temenos, and he's kind of like a, I forget their backstories. Each one of them has a very, you know, hero-specific backstory per what they do in the game. I don't even know what his is, but he just looks like, you know, I wanted to make my story around him. And the game started off kind of normal as I was playing with him until, you know, people got added to my party. But as I think I tried to continue a story one time after the very first girl joined, and it started her story quest, but because I wanted to continue with Temenos, I exited out, re-entered the game, and didn't do that after I got my third teammate, and the story was progressing, and I actually still might play that game in my free time, as opposed to doing something other than that, which is where I was going. But now that I'm talking about this, I don't think I'm going to do that because there's more of that game to be played, and I don't know if I'm going to stream it because of what it would be like. It's just something I would be doing in my free time. Like, you know, I'm sure people could stream like Final Fantasy XIV and do, but, you know, are they you know, they're probably just playing that game, right? That's what I would be doing with Octopath Traveler 2, and could stream that, but I don't think I would, because of how the second video ended with me being outside of an area called the Abandoned Village, which is where I met a traveler, or an NPC in that game whose name, the Traveler, who was like looks like an old elf, like a Keebler elf or something, I don't know. But I discovered the whole summon mechanic towards the end of, I think, the second video, as I was just trying to level up, running about the map. It was clear with, you know, how they were telling you to, or saying the game could continue relative to what I was doing, that the ending of the second video is how that was supposed to end. This is for Octopath Traveler 2. So I couldn't like, I can continue in that game, and I might after I get, well, I don't know, I have to see. I think I keep forgetting I have stuff I plan on doing, so that's what makes kind of me also picking this back up with how the second video ended, becoming more of a like non-reality. But I wish it was, because the game was, you know, how I was playing it, for me at least, was incredibly fun. And I don't know, I might actually continue playing that game, but like maybe after I get a PS5, and assuming I could stream that without having to kind of turn it into a video like kind of the one I'm doing now. Well, this is different because this game is different, but like I might play that game on a PS5. It actually, I don't know how much you can tell in the PS4 streams that I streamed Octopath Traveler 2, but it is very, very pretty when you play that game on a PS4. You know, again, the streams look pretty, but it looks really good when you play it, and I think it would look even better if I were to play it on a PS5, which is what I might do in the future if I, you know, can get one. And if I play that game, they might just have to be like non-audio commentary streams, just because of how deep I want to get into them, and that, you know, they would have to be long, and because of that, I don't know how much talking I'd be able to do over them. That's not necessarily the case now. I mean, the Gundam stuff, that was just, literally, I mean, it was like there to be had per how I was spending my time. That is, but um, I might play Octopath Traveler 2. I picked it up after I made the second video. And was streaming it. Nothing too special happened outside of just me playing it. Actually, that's not true. There's an area of the game where you're on a boat, and I did a ton of leveling there. And it's really pretty on the water during the day because it's like it looks pretty in the open world and the battle interface and with some of the items I picked up as well. I really want to pick that game back up. Like, you know, I was playing with the progression system and what I have equipped now. Like, that's what makes games like that fun. So, like, you know, with that being the case, I might actually continue on. The only thing is, I have played it once, and the only reason I chose not to upload that stream, despite the beautiful gameplay, in my opinion, that was happening, not because of how I was playing it. It's just, again, that's like the story that I'm trying to continue in that game. So, and because I liked it so much, I streamed the first two videos, obviously, but like, I don't know. I really, part of the reason I didn't upload the third one is because I felt like everything that came after the second one, I really wanted to get on the PS5. And I didn't feel bad not uploading the third one because I felt like the second one is might be where it was meant to be ended, but I do want to play that game because it is fun to play with Temenos the way I am just choosing to play it currently. But I really feel like with, you know, some of the items I have now, like, you know, I forgot her name, but the girl has a silver hair piece. I have a she has a silver hair piece in addition to them both now having the pilgrim's robe, which is the, like, you know, the main armor piece that I had equipped after I found it in the open world, and I only had one, but since I've gotten two, you know, my character has the wind robe. And with just like the skills I'm using, I really want to continue with that game, but it might have to be on a PS5. And so the only thing I've done since I made the second video and to where I would be picking it up if I were to get the PS5 was just me grinding in the open world. I still don't know really where I'm going. I left off in an area called Montwise after the third video, which I think is like where you're supposed to progress on the map, you know, with what I'm just trying to do. So I don't know how many levels I've since gained because I'm around like level 20, so things are moving a little bit more slowly. But I really actually like, I think people would enjoy me continuing Octo/Traveler 2. But again, I don't know. I mean, everything I'm talking about might just have to be stuff that happens just in my spare time, which, with who I am, you know, would not be a problem. That's how everything has happened on the channel thus far. So, um, I don't know if I'll be, you know, what's there of Octopath Traveler 2 might be everything that was meant to be, and maybe that's not fair because, you know, everyone's different. But for me personally, after having played with Temenos for, you know, what the first video was like 4 something hours, second one 6, so around like 10 or 11 hours. That was my Octopath journey, and I felt really comfortable leaving it there, which is where it might, you know, end up being. But I might pick that up in my spare time. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna get a Switch anytime soon. I really want to go back and watch some of the Pokemon videos I have on the channel now. But yeah, I might be playing Octopath Traveler too. You know, just whenever. But um, I do think that game will look incredible on the PS5. I don't know. I might have to pick that game back up. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I think that's something I have my goal set on. So like, you know, make this video. Hopefully, make the second video of this game that I plan on making. Uh, play Gundam SD Battle. Play SD Gundam Battle once, one final time. You know, with the Principality of Zeon, Z Gundam, and then I might lay low. You know, obviously rewatch some of the stuff that's on the channel, and get a PS5 and continue Octopath Traveler 2. That's I haven't played a game like that in a while, and that's right up my alley. Now that I'm thinking about it, I talk so much about Gundam SD Battle or SD Gundam Battle Alliance, but um, yeah, man, I'm really into games like that. Like, you know, Final Fantasy XV was a hard copy purchase for me. I remember when I first like stumbled across that game. It wasn't something I mean, I probably saw trailers of it online, but because I was doing other things at the time, like, you know, but I saw it's a hard copy buy for me. I don't have it anymore. But um, you know, that bloodstained hard copies, right? So like, excuse me. With that being said, I'm really into games like that, and it's odd because Octopath Traveler isn't branded in that way, it doesn't play in that way, but it really captures my attention like a Final Fantasy XV, which is why I feel like I can't leave it there. And to be completely honest, that's precisely why that third stream never made its way onto my channel. That's precisely why. And that happened, I think, last night. I streamed that game last night. I was editing it, and then I was like, I can't, I can't play this game. Like, this has to be on a PS5. Like, everything I've done so far is just, you know, I've tried with what I had, and because I want to take advantage of this time. Or that's not fair. Like, because it's something I wanted to do, right? I did it, but it was like obviously something I had to do, but it just worked out. So like, you know, with that being the case, Octopath Traveler 2 is like the exact antithesis of that, and that's all due to what that game is, or my experience in that game thus far. You know, I've made videos like this in the past. It's actually what the channel used to be, pretty much, if you don't remember. I was playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, kind of picked up a New Game Plus, the Final Fantasy XV, or I don't think, maybe I started from the beginning, I think. But, you know, those two games, Final Fantasy Remastered, and there's a fourth game. Here, Automata, yeah. Yeah, I was doing videos similar to this. You know, in the future, I mean, again, that's just how the channel progression has worked. Like, I'm not trying to blow steam, but like, literally, like, it would just be the best use of everything I've got at the moment, given how I was playing these games. So, with Octopath Traveler 2, you know, again, last night I'm literally streaming this game. I played it for about 4 hours, and I went in like this underground waterway and was just, you know, running the map, just getting more acclimated with, you know, how I wanted to play, and it I was editing the video, about to put a thumbnail on it, and it actually did make its way onto my channel, but I don't know if anyone ever saw it because before it became like official, or before I made it public at least, I think it's how it happened. Uh, I was like, I can't upload this to YouTube on a PS4. Like, this just has to be on a PS5 because the game looked too beautiful even on my stream. I mean, it's probably coming out a little less quality than how it looks when I'm playing it live, regardless of what you're seeing on YouTube, because I'm just playing it on a bigger TV. So it looks clear. Like it's not, it's not on a computer screen. Period. I mean that's the long and short of it. But uh, with that being the case, I was playing Path Traveler 2, and it can't continue on a PS4, but it has to continue on. Period. Which is why that video doesn't exist. But you'll see what level I'm at the next time I pick it up. I mean, I'm in the abandoned village. I think I'm going to continue. If I can forever guide a person in that game until I beat it, I'm probably going to be using the Traveler and or that guy in Flame Church that can use a bow that does like 300 or 400 damage. So I'll be alternating between those two, and they have probably the exact antithesis type of effects. I mean, the Traveler is like a healer. He'll take damage for you. He attacks. He'll buff your team. That guy in Flame Church just seems to be like a grizzled war veteran or something. I don't know. He's like, but he's not. I think he's just like a regular person, but he does go ham. Like he's got a bow, and when he attacks, he does a lot of damage. But so long as I can guide a person in that game, I think I'll be using the Traveler. I mean, that in conjunction with just who Temenos is, I mean, that's part of the reason why I have to pick that game back up. But it can't be on a PS4 despite what happened last night. So, you know, it's just it has to be on a PS5. But now that I'm making this video, because again of what that game is, I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know if it'll all be videos while I'm talking. Like, I guess what I'm saying is there will be nights when I'm playing, Octopath Traveler 2, but they're just gonna be streams, just like the SD Gundam Battle Alliance videos are that are streams. You know, so I'll try to get, maybe I'm sure on a PS5 it's not like the PS4 where it's more, it's a lot easier to stream and make a video like this. This I'm doing a voiceover right now, but like if I were to, make a literal live commentary where I have like a headset on, I'm playing the game, and it's something I'm able to turn into a video and not spend too much time and energy on, I'm gonna do it. But I have a feeling with Octopath Traveler 2, it's just I have to stream that game. I mean, it's too, someone who's played Final Fantasy 4, and like when I was a kid, like I was playing that game on a Game Boy Advance, mainly because my friend had one now, and his was in English, but mine was not because I ordered it online. I'll never forget that. But at such a young age too, I don't remember, but I did end up getting my hands on that game. And I remember when I bought it, they told me like the game was in Japanese, but when I picked it up, it was in English. They're gonna have to be streams, man, because that game is just. I mean, even last night I was like, it can't end here. It can't end here story wise because of how good it was for me. I'm not. I mean, I'm not trying to like. That's just what that game was, man. Like, you'd really have to go back and watch those videos and For a person like me, I was Octopath Traveler 2. I mean, that might be. I'm not even done with that game, assuming there's still story to be had, which is funny because with how I'm playing that game, I'm not playing the story, but I'm still progressing. Like, that's pretty much how the game is for me now. And I'm not even like past like level 20 something. I might be level like 24 in that game. I'm already getting like Final Fantasy XV feelings about how I just want to play that game, period. You know what I mean? So I might have to pick that game up, but it's gonna have to be on a PS5, and um, I also don't know how many of them will be, videos where I'm talking over it, because they're gonna be, longer streams. And with how that game is, I don't feel like that's a bad thing. I feel like, it would be a space that would be pretty cool, but that's probably gonna be in the far off future. I mean, I definitely have to. I want to make these Gundam videos, and I want to make this video, the final video of me playing this game, and the Z Gundam videos, and I really want to go back and kind of rewatch some of them and see what's going on. Which, to be completely honest, I haven't had much of a chance to do lately. But there's a damn, I can't remember what I was talking about. It's terrible. I, basically, I guess I want to finish, making all the videos I'm gonna make of me playing this game. Finish SD Gundam Battle Lines with the Z Gundam, and also finish Octopath Traveler 2. I have a feeling in the future there's probably going to be some old videos that I've made that will I hope, make their way back onto my channel. There's some videos that I remember that are no longer on YouTube, but because of what they were, I hope make their way back on my, or hope find its way onto my channel. Kind of like funny, it's not a Vine compilation, but it's like a funny video compilation. Videos like that I hope find their way back onto my channel. But as far as what I plan to do in the future, I do want to make that clear. I will be finishing Octopath Traveler 2. Actually, if to be generous, I'm looking at like 100 plus. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, if I'm just kind of giving a generous if I'm just giving like a generous kind of insight on as to what I plan on doing, that's what I plan on doing. But like, even after making these last couple videos, I do feel kind of like tired, but that sounds nice, right? But it might not even get to that point per what that game is, but I hope it does. I mean, that's kind of like the last thing I want to say on Octopath Traveler 2. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, like 100 plus, like, no problem. Like, that's how I feel about that game. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny because everything that's on the channel thus far doesn't fall into that category. So because with that being the case, in conjunction with what that game is, that's why 100 plus sounds nice, but um, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this game as well. They've got it like I can't say enough about it. I mean, it's it was fun to play, and it's fun to make like always, and I'm glad to, after I make these videos, have some Final Fantasy content on the channel. That's kind of how things started before YouTube actually. Back when my PlayStation avatar was focused in looking off into something that doesn't not necessarily exist anymore, but it was different back then. That's how I was playing. That's how things were going before YouTube, you know. And to hopefully continue that with Octopath Traveler 2 would be, I think, a nice kind of thing to do, you know. So, because I think people would enjoy it, because I'm enjoying it. That's my point. But after, you know, hopefully I'll make this. I really do hope I can. It's nice to have some Final Fantasy mixed content on the channel, because that is where it started. I think that's where I was trying to go with things, like. And I'm saying that's how it started before YouTube. You know, I mean, there was a time I didn't think I was going to be. I didn't really care to upload to YouTube. I mean, just because of the things were going on, right? So like now, after making this would be like really the. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. I do apologize if that's similar to the jump scare in the Betrayal video. I didn't mean to do that. It wasn't a sneeze, but I can imagine it being pretty loud. I apologize about that. But like, this would be the only Final Fantasy content on the channel, but before I was uploading to YouTube, I was obviously playing games in my spare time. And back in the day, it was Final Fantasy XV, obviously, and things like Dead or Alive. So Octopath Traveler 2. I just hope it would, that in conjunction with this, it would be nice, because for me, that's where it started. Before YouTube. So, with me being on YouTube now, it would be a nice kind of full circle for me, right? So, yeah. It's, I'll leave it. But yeah, I mean, I know it's a lot now, but it won't be in the future. I hope it's not, which is kind of why I'm doing it now. Part of the reason it's happening is because these are games I would have otherwise been playing, but for it to come full circle with Final Fantasy XV at least, and potentially a final Square Enix game that I'd stream in Octopath Traveler 2, for me it would be a nice full circle, because that kind of Square Enix Final Fantasy space is where it started for me, at least. But before I had an intention of uploading to YouTube, would probably be the best way to put it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could talk about that space too. Like, it's interesting some of the stuff going on right now. I think there's a game that's coming out for iOS and Android. I think it's called Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, and this is obviously after Final Fantasy First Soldier. Um, that's actually a game I wanted to play, never did. I think it's a mobile game, and I couldn't tell you what happened to that game, or why it's a mobile exclusive. Uh, and I'm laughing, but it's not funny because it is something I wanted to do ever since I first heard about it. I just never got around to it, mainly because I was doing other things, I think, on YouTube at the time. Well, before I think I heard about that game, around when it came out, and then after it's I think safe to say untimely demise. Um, I'm not sure what happened with Final. I'm not sure what happened with First Soldier. I mean, it's clear that there's like a game there, and it's kind of weird that it's on mobile. And given that series, and you know, it's kind of gives you something to think about, obviously. But it was a game, and it was a game I kind of wanted to play just to see, what it was about. Not that like some of the characters having guns is not akin to the lore in this game, because there's clearly enemies in this game that have you know those type of weapons, but like with just what it was, it sounded like it was like, wow, like even though it's on mobile, like this sounds like it'd be something pretty cool, and it looks pretty cool too. Like the trailers are pretty cool, but I don't know why it's no longer a thing. I think that's the case. I'm not sure. Again, I've been doing other stuff recently, so I don't want to talk like that. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think like all games that are created, like period, really, like I think people are doing it because they're trying to say something, or tell a story that uh, kind of matters to them, right? Or they feel like they need to tell, probably is the best way to say it. With that being the case, like with Final Fantasy First Soldier, I mean, it was a thing. I mean, I'm talking about it like it's no longer around, but I think if I recall correctly, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a thing anymore. And with slash if that is the case, with me being a fan of that series and with it existing, period, I couldn't tell you why it's no longer around. Um, but that's not the case with every game that's created. Like even this, it's clear that people, it's a thing. So like, and this is like a thing in the Final Fantasy VII timeline. So like, it's clearly its own game, is my point. But like, and it appears to be unaffected after playing it by any kind of like Scarlet Nexus would be deviations, if that sounds appropriate. Like, there's clearly games that would appear to be still unaffected by those types of outside factors and their production, with that not being the case for something like Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy VII First Soldier, and the fact that it was a thing, and if it is no longer around, as just a fan of the series and someone who's played XV, Final Fantasy IV on the Game Boy, Japanese version, um, and Final Fantasy VIII Remastered and XV. I don't know if I said that. You know, I have a pretty good grasp of some of the classic games in the series of that franchise. So if that is the case with First Soldier, and because I'm a fan of this franchise, I honestly couldn't tell you what happened to that game. But I don't want to talk about it like it's a bad thing because it was a thing at one point, and there are other games clearly, especially in the Square Enix space, i.e. the one I'm playing now, that as you know, especially as someone who's after the second video, like there was a story that they were trying to tell in this game, and they told it's pretty. The second video, in my opinion, is pretty awesome of this game, but you know, production-wise and storytelling-wise, it would appear to be unaffected by that stuff. So you know, I can't tell you why like some games are just no longer around, and it's weird because I am a fan of just like Final Fantasy and what it is, right? I mean, because it was something that started when I was a kid, and I saw other people playing it, and then because of what it was, even when I was that young, that's what led me to getting Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 4, you know, the Japanese version, and then that's what kind of propelled me to where I am now with just that series. You know, this game clearly would appear to be unaffected by like it's. I mean, per the watermark on it, it's the kind of vibe I got from everything I was uploading in the past. Like it was what it was, and for me, they were fun games. And um, I put this game into into those games categories, like per just what the game is, you know. So I really, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of the same wall that I run into when I want to get like a Nintendo Switch. Like, you know, I just haven't gotten one yet. It's part of the reason. Well, no, the PS4 thing is actually kind of its own thing. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but I mean, I was moving, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I couldn't really take a PS5 with me, you know, when you're going from here to there. So that's kind of the PS4 in a nutshell. But like, with that being the case, I think that's kind of, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore because like it kind of goes full circle, right? So like, you know, I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy XV and Pokemon Ultra Sun off camera. You know, I was doing that before YouTube, right? During YouTube. That's what I'm doing. So like, with that being the case, and the fact that YouTube is a thing, like, we're kind of getting into the territory of like, I don't know. I mean, like, and that's weird because like, I'm even just reflecting on that. I kind of go back into how I was talking about First Soldier. Like, even with the series, like, it's clear that people wanted it to be a thing, and it apparently was, and it looked pretty cool if it were to be believed. Like, I think it was like a would-be first third-person shooter, like online. Like, you know, it would have been fun to play. I think I don't know. I don't know why it's no longer around. If that is the case, because I've been doing other things recently, I don't know. You know, before I saw headlines on that game, it was something that piqued my interest. That's all I can say about it. That's kind of all I want to say about it, and where I want to leave it. But I mean, how I was bambling on about that is part of the reason I haven't. Well, actually, to be honest, part of the reason I haven't had a Switch is because Pokemon Ultra Sun is a thing. But actually, that's a big part of it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, every time I think about getting a Switch, I just resave my Pokemon Ultra Sun save file and cosplay a different way. Um, and I've got a pretty good idea of everything else that's been going on. I don't have. Um, that's the only Pokemon game that I have that's uh, like relevant, really. Like in the past, my Pokemon history is Fire Red, Leaf Green. I'm talking about like actual playthroughs, like not times I've just picked the game up. And like I don't think I mean that's where it started for me. I mean I knew Pokemon was a thing, and I think I can't remember of any other earlier generations. I mean I don't know if it goes back past that. Those are the only ones I can remember actually playing. I mean, mainly because even back in the day, I was kind of heavy on like Super Smash Brothers. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like other things were going on. There might have been earlier generations that like I played that I just can't remember. But for the sake of how I'm talking now, Fire Red, Leaf Green. Oh no, Ruby and Sapphire. That's where it started. I knew I was missing a generation. Ruby and Sapphire. So Ruby and Sapphire is where it started. Um, and then Emerald, obviously. Fire Red, Leaf Green, Soul Silver, Heart Gold. I like dabbled in the Sinnoh region. I wouldn't even say I played those games like I normally play Pokemon games. That's the Diamond and Pearl region, I think. And then Ultra Sun, obviously. I mean, that's my Pokemon history. So, with that being the case, do I want to get Switch? Yes. I mean, could I potentially in the future? Sure. Am I saying I'm not going to? Am I saying like I'm not going to do that or don't want to do that? That's not what I'm saying. I just haven't, and that's because Ultra Sun exists. I mean, that's how good that game is. But that's you know a big part of the reason I haven't gotten Scarlet and Violet, and it's actually pretty crazy what happened out of the Stephen Stone role play because that's not something I thought was gonna happen. It's just like I cosplayed as him and it did. That's what happened. I'm really happy that I was able to share it on YouTube, but like because that was something I wanted to do and inevitably did. That's precisely why I don't have a Switch. It's not that I don't want to get one, but like Scarlet and Moon are, you know, Scarlet and Violet are a thing. I just genuinely haven't gotten to them. And I haven't gotten a Switch, and there's actually a lot of like Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like I really wanted to, I just never haven't played that game. So like, is that why Final Fantasy First Soldier is like not a thing? Like, and I say that I'm not trying to, assuming it's not. You know, could those dots be connected? I don't know. You know, I'm kind of dabbling into like the territory where I was going with like the Final Fantasy VII. There's a trailer of Final Fantasy VII. I think it's remake, and it's on two channels that I know of. Probably been clearly more because the trailer's awesome. But the two ones that I've seen it on are PlayStation and the official Final Fantasy trailer, Final Fantasy channel trailer, or So I've seen it on the Final Fantasy channel and PlayStation channel, obviously. And on one of those videos, I think it's like a PS5 features. That's how it's advertised. It might be on the Final Fantasy channel. Um, there's a soundtrack at the end of that video that I'm convinced is was meant to be in Final Fantasy XVI. And if we're getting more specific with it, Tenebrae in particular. At the end of one of those videos, and I actually might like it after this video to show what I'm talking about, because I think it's important, and I'm not sure if it's something anyone really picked up on, but at the end of that video is a soundtrack that I'm convinced was for Tenebrae, which I think you visit in Final Fantasy XVI, but per the lore of that game, I think it was supposed to be way different and supposed to play a much more integral part in what that game was supposed to be. But if you listen at the end of it's a Final Fantasy VII trailer, and both where it's at both places on YouTube, it's of like I think it's Cloud in the same position, and he's looking, at the camera as if he like kind of like he always does, and he's got his hand on the Buster Sword, which you can't see because it's focused on him. Okay, at the end of that video, there's a soundtrack that if you listen to it, sounds incredibly out of place for anything in the Final Fantasy VII generation. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know why that's the case. I noticed it as soon as I heard it. There's soundtracks in Final Fantasy XVI that I think were meant to be in there, i.e. the Sword of the Father. Like, but were there other soundtracks that I think were for places that we never saw, like they were supposed to be seen? I do. If you're asking me for a soundtrack and where it exists, it's at the end of that trailer. I talked about that in a near video that's no longer in this channel. So it's like a third dot that you can connect to just like the string of events that make no sense, really. If that makes sense. So like, excuse me, I'm going to get some more water, excuse me. I don't know how I'm going to pause this video. Okay, I apologize about that. I think I'm going to have to stop the audio, assuming I'm able to do this without taking another break. I think I'm going to have to stop the audio. It would be like 2 or 3 seconds early just to make sure it's, I'd rather be safe than sorry, so that's something, the audio might end before the actual video shuts off, so if that's the case, I apologize. I don't know so yeah, the audio might shut off early. That's because I had to take a break. The audio software I'm using on my phone, I never had to do that before, I don't think. So like, I never knew how it worked until now, or if I did have to use it in the past, I didn't remember it until now. So with that being the case, I started the video before the audio. I think there's about a 2 or 3 second difference, so I know how to do it now, but taking breaks might be a thing that's, I don't think this audio difference is going to happen in the future, even if I'm taking breaks, because now I know how to do it without there being a difference in it. This is what I'm saying, but where I was going with this is, in this video and the next one, that might be the case, because I think I'm going to just have to drink water to talk, period. So with that being the case, because the videos are a little bit longer, there might be like 2 or 3 breaks in them, so I apologize about that, but there shouldn't be a time difference even with that being the case. That's just something exclusive to this video, but like, I don't know if this is where I left off, and I don't want to be like, beat a dead horse with this topic, but like, and I'm not sure if this is even where I was going before I took this break just now, but like, and again, I'm not trying to like, stir the pot, but like, Scarlet Nexus is a good example of what I'm talking about. It's its own game and a beautiful one at that, and there's a 15-minute like gameplay demo thing of someone playing that game, which is like one of those videos I watch. Like, it's just it's a pretty awesome video because I think it's a new game plus footage as well, which is what makes it cool. But it exists and it's a cool thing at that. But if you're asking me honestly, I put it in that cat. I think that game was supposed to be like Final Fantasy meets Jet Set Radio Future. Like that's where I thought, that's where I think they were going. And if you just look at that game from a distance, it kind of makes sense. And I hate I really think this is stuff that people should like know, but it's kind of hard to have those conversations, especially when someone could look at my channel nowadays and be like, they could look at my banner and the Scarlet Nexus demo that I have uploaded now and easily be like, well, like, that's just what the game is in conjunction with how the game literally is now, because it's a game. It's a game and it exists, and it's pretty like extensive, and a real game. But if you're asking me, and if you just look at what Scarlet Nexus is, I mean, could it have been a genuine Jet Set Radio Future Final Fantasy gone wrong? I think that's the case. I put it in the category of everything I was talking about, I think, before I left for the break. Like, I definitely think that was the case. You listen to some of the music at the end of that demo, there was a voiceover for that video. It got lost in transition. But, I mean, that soundtrack sounds incredibly out of place, even with the music video that's featured right before you start hearing that. Did that cross anybody's mind? You could especially with how crazy things are now, it's easy to look at my channel and be like, that's what it was meant to be. What are you babbling on about? I mean, my banner, for example, it's up there for a reason. That girl in the background who's now, what's her name? She's one of the 3 main characters that's there. I mean, is that not the same girl but with like Kasane's hair? Style, but it's brown, obviously. Why are there a pair of headphones floating in the air above that image of Kasane with brown hair? Again, you could easily naively look at just my channel and be like, what is he talking about? Here we go again. Especially with how crazy things are. It's getting to, I mean, there might be nights where people look at something like that and they could be like, this is what they intended, especially given just the demo and how I played it, which is how they told me through the tutorial. It's not on the video but anyways, my point is, especially with how crazy things can get, is my point. Even the message I was trying to send with that banner being a thing, and with it being my banner, or with that image being a thing, and with it being my banner, there might be conspiracy theorists out there. That's probably the best way to put it. That can look at that and be like, is this what they intended to be? Especially with how beautiful the game is, it really might appear that way to some people. But with what you're seeing, how you're interpreting it like that is what makes you a conspiracy theorist, because that's clearly not the case. And the fact that that's the truth and we're even having those conversations, it is pretty crazy. I mean, I don't think it's. I just think it's crazy. I mean, the banner is what it is. I mean, I clearly think there was something there that's no longer, despite the fact of that being such the game itself in its current state being such a masterpiece in its own right. But I think that's a reflection of the story that's not there. Does that make sense? I mean, like, because like the game is beautiful. That 15-minute gameplay trailer, I think, is light years above everything that's in that demo that's on my channel in terms of how it looks, because I know it's a new game plus run, because there's moves in his moveset that you can't do in the demo, and he did an ability that you unlock clearly, I think, after you beat the game. So, you know, that's like Scarlet Nexus in a nutshell for me, and what made me really want to play it, but all I could get out was the demo. So like that truth for me, with my video and the other one that's on YouTube with a 15-minute gameplay trailer that we can comfortably say is a new game plus run, in conjunction with everything that's on my banner. I mean, those are three great examples of why the image of Kasane on my banner with brown hair is not a thing. And instead she has white hair in the current build of the game. So I don't know why that's the case, but it clearly is. But I mean, that's not to say that game is. I think that game has been nothing but positively received since it came out. All I played is the demo, so like that's the case for that game, Ultra Sun. Pretty much every game that comes out really nowadays, unless it's just like a. I mean, even people. I mean, I think everyone's different, So like, no game's really getting like crapped on like that. But I mean, my point is like, in terms of how people are receiving them, right? So like, my point is, obviously none of these games are ruined, but were there other, was it always that way, and why is that no longer the case? That's all my point. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I couldn't tell you why that's the case, but I think it clearly is. And, if I could, play something like Octopath Traveler 2 and do, like, even that, me doing this now, I don't think I could have been doing this even a couple of years ago. And I think that's going to be the case going forward, just because of how it is. But I easily could talk over something like Octopath Traveler 2, but I kind of don't want to, because I think it's a great way for people to experience that type of game, that type of genre with that game. And I think it would be like clearly better if they were just streamed, especially on a PS5. But I think that's just how things are supposed to be meant moving forward for me. And even with how beautiful that game is, with me just having uploaded 2 videos as a reflection of even games like Scarlet Nexus, like, I mean, just look at what came out of the thumbnail. Like, that was just me playing the game. I liked it. Clearly they did as well. They made it. And I mean, how many versions are there of that game? Like, I love that type of stuff where there's like the deluxe edition, Blizzard deluxe edition. That game falls right into that category. Again, all that's come out from me is the demo, but my point being, I can't even remember that's, I don't know. Excuse me, I do apologize for that. Like that's why I couldn't do this over an Octopath Traveler 2, and I definitely feel this wasn't the case a couple of years ago. You know, maybe with, just rest, that'll change, but like, I don't remember this being the case when I was making videos even a couple of years ago. And some of those videos were, 6 hours long. Not saying that the length of the video and me uploading it is, I don't remember running into it like genuinely like running out of breath or having to, drink water like this in the video just to speak. So with that being the case, I don't know if with time that will change, or if this is just the case going forward. I will say positively, I don't remember it being the case even as of a couple of years ago, and I was making videos much longer than this. So even with that being like not too long ago, I'm hoping in time this would not be the case. But even if that were a best case scenario for me, I don't know if I would be even talking over, Octopath Traveler 2. But that game and everything else that's on the channel is just a reflection of, the people who worked on it. So like, with that being the case and how much I enjoy them and the fact that I'm able to share them, it's awesome. But like, therein lies the problem with some of the games just being what they are and how it started out. So, I don't know. I mean, is that why I would, even if there were games I could potentially do it like a voiceover, like if I were to pick up like Final Fantasy XV again, with the fact that like it might have been 2 hours in a video like this, and I'm not short of breath by any means. It's just literally becoming quite difficult for me to speak. I don't remember that being the case as of a couple of years ago. So, I was talking pretty much in those videos. I was talking a lot in those videos. I think some of those were rather long videos. So, Octopath Traveler 2 aside, I've said everything I want to say about that game. Were there a game that I could potentially speak over, and it were of that, Octopath Traveler 2, Final Fantasy XV, those games are special to me, or I feel they'll be special. Final Fantasy XV is special to me. Octopath Traveler 2 has the chance to be greatly, probably even better than Final Fantasy XV, because I love that genre. That's where it started for me. So like, it's, outside of those two games, if there were something I could just casually do a voiceover, I'm glad Persona turned out to be what it was. That's another game I haven't spoken much on, but I don't think there is much to speak on there, because I mean, that's where the game ended for me because of how I was playing it. But by any means, I'm just uploading how I played that game, right? So like, I'm not tripping that it's not a voiceover. Do I want it to be? Of course. Even in the future, where the opportunity to present itself. Let's just say in a perfect world, I were to play Bloodstained again, like, because that's really where the voiceover started. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's, unless things kind of change in a drastic way, I don't know if that would really be a possibility. But that's not going to stop me from playing things in the future. Like, I still plan to play SD Gundam Battle Alliance. There's still things to be done in that game. What else? Octopath Traveler 2. I hope to open up a world. I hope to continue a world that I've discovered in that game. I'm not tripping that they're not voiceover. I'm not speaking over them, of course not. I hope the gameplay shines through even harder because of that. And I'm fortunate that that's the case. I'm unhappy that it's not on a PS5, kind of, but it's a whole nother like issue. We can throw that into some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier. But you know, were there to be a game in a perfect world that I wouldn't want to be on the mic, I would if I could. But even making a video like this, and with how, to be quite honest, I had to push through like this on the Witch on the Holy Night video, I don't know if that would be the case. But it's not going to stop me from continuing. I'm gonna make these next. I'm gonna make the final Z Gundam playlist. Yeah, hopefully get this video and the next one out. What else did I try to do? I have some other stuff. Finish Octopath Traveler 2. Enjoy Persona, assuming that PlayStation stuff ever gets off of it, and continue pretty much like I have. I really do think it's a blessing in disguise that things have turned out the way they have, relative to how I've been able to play these games and share them. That's all. That's kind of where I want to leave it. But I don't know if I'll ever be getting, and it's interesting now that I'm talking about it because that's something I've never thought about. But I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't remember getting this kind of short of breath back in the day. And back in the day would be like now, around the time the channel was started. So I don't know how many years that is. But I don't want to think about it because I don't want to lose track of where I'm going with this, which is like the fact that I'm just 2 hours in this video. It's not like I always have stuff to talk about. Right? That's what made those live commentary playthroughs so enjoyable for me, because it wasn't just the games that I was playing, but it was the fact that I could express how I felt about them as I was playing it and make that a video. That's what made those old live commentaries special. But like, making a video like this is still fun. Streaming games is always fun. I really hope Persona becomes available to the public, and that, like I said, like that PlayStation thing gets off of it. I hope I can finish Octopath Traveler 2 in a PS5, because I feel like at this point it's the only way to do that game justice. I mean, the 2 episodes I have up right now are magical, to say the least, but I mean, I can't tell you, like, I honestly don't remember running into, just not kind of struggling to speak. That's the best way to put it. I'm not short of breath. Am I probably feeling a little different? Yeah, I probably should just stop making this video, but like, I'm not short of breath like that. It's hard for me to speak. I don't remember ever struggling to speak in the past, even when I was making videos. Sometimes 6. I can't remember if I eclipsed 8 hours, but I mean, you get the point. The games I was trying to play, I wasn't trying to stunt by the fact that I was uploading long videos. It was just the best way for me to share. So the fact that, it's hard for me to speak now when I do something like this. I don't know if that's connected, but it's not going to stop me from continuing to share some of the games I have now. And after I finish ST Gundam Battle Alliance with the Z Gundam, and actually, I don't know. It might be. I kind of want to finish ST Gundam Battle Alliance even on the PS4 that I have now, because with how I'm moving with the current parts that I have, and the fact that it's only registered on a couple Gundams, and the fact that it's a thing that I know at this point exists. I want to get it done because it'll be the only way for me to do it without genuinely either forgetting or potentially losing track of what I'm literally doing. So like I might have to finish out, or clearly I'm gonna have to finish out the Z Gundam and the SD Gundam Battle Alliance. Finish making these videos, and I'm gonna finish out after Pep Driver 2, hopefully on PS5. You know, that's my plan, but you know, I don't know how much of that's gonna be on the mic, but I hope it doesn't stop people from just, you know, enjoying what the videos are. You know, all I'm doing is playing them. You know, people worked clearly hard, you know, worked on them. So where this leads is to what comes out of the videos, which is what I hope people can like enjoy, right? So and another great thing about uploading is we get shared through my video, which is other people's videos. You know, who's some I've come to, you know, yeah, it's just a great chance to share it in the community, really. So it's not an issue that I'm not going to be able to speak over many of these videos after these two videos, but that's not going to stop me from just, you know, uploading them. I think I have to finish the Gundam stuff before I feel uneasy even transferring like to part of the reason I feel like I have to finish the Gundam stuff is like, you know, could something get lost in translation when I'm transferring the data from my PS4 to a new PS5? Of course. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But with just what that game is and has been thus far and what I'm trying to do, I really have to get that done before anything even like that becomes a possibility and ruining what I'm doing. So, you know, it's part of the reason I'm going to have to finish streaming that game out on a PS4. But that's going to be something I do after I make these next two videos. And you know, after I do that, that's probably going to be the last thing I do on my PS4. I do want to clear that up, but you know, I hope to revisit the channel, especially about that Back Traveler, and yeah, I mean, you know, hopefully that'll be like, you know, you know, if some older content makes its way onto my channel, you know, that'd be great. I hate that I haven't been able to speak much on this video, but that's how kind of how the gameplay worked until I reached ultimately where I wanted to stop. Because I believe I have 3 captures that are around that 58, 59 mark that I talked about earlier, and then clearly a 4th one that stopped relative to where I was in the game, obviously. And I'm doing a voiceover over all 4 of those clips now, 3 being around an hour, 1 not being her where I ended in the story. So, you know, given everything I experienced when I was playing, everything you're seeing is what you're getting. I mean, it's typical. I mean, I don't even recall even seeing a place where you could potentially change your sword if you wanted to. Like, that's kind of how the equipment works outside of the gear that you obtain. I think it's safe to say in the items that you get. So, clearly different from Final Fantasy VII Remake, if I recall correctly, because I think there's different types of swords in that game. Maybe you can go back in this game and change your sword after getting the Buster Sword, which is something I didn't try to do because of how the second video started, which was essentially all I did was all the missions I stocked up on after all the ones I attempted in this video, I did planned on doing until I ran into a couple a playlist that said something about Hojo's experiments. This is in the next video. And so, kind of clearly, just per the lore, and after getting the Buster Sword, you know, immediately I turned the game off and picked it back up, and fell right into that playlist, read a couple emails, completed as much as I could in that playlist, and then just did what I felt was appropriate at the time, kind of with how I wanted to play with Zack and his Buster Sword. And things happened. I started equipping gear I was getting after the missions, and things changed in a drastic way. And so that, in conjunction with what this game is inherently, is what made it so special for me, and why I think the next video would be pretty cool for people, especially hardcore kind of like, you know, Final Fantasy XIV players to potentially enjoy it. Even just like, you know, anyone, but especially those type of people with the gear I was equipping and how that video ended out. But so, and that's how the next video ends, right? So like, you know, the fact that I'm making this now, even talking about that, like, you know, I'm definitely gonna have stuff to talk about in the next video. You know, emails to read, why I did certain playlists, what's happening, you know, why am I swinging my sword less, you know, and the items I was equipping and why that was the case. It's kind of why I fell in the Octopath Traveler 2 so hard, especially after having played this and that been my experience in this game, and it really kind of happening to an even greater extent in Octopath Traveler 2. Not that it's any different, because in my opinion, with what those games are, they're on the exact same level, a 10 out of 10, but this is just with how, you know, I played the game and ended up optimizing, but I didn't do anything but what, you know, I felt was in order to do, and to just complete the game in a way I would play it, really. So, you know, I'm definitely gonna have stuff to talk about in the next video. I mean, everything else that you're seeing, I hate to say it's par for the course because of what it is, and it's so beautiful, because another thing I noticed is some of the enemies in this game move like the Gundams that you see in SD Gundam Battle Alliance, that will just like move at certain times for no other reason than to just like, not necessarily taunt you, but just to draw attention to what's happening, which is pretty, you know, cool. Like, you know, you can kind of see what I mean about it being Kingdom Heartsy, you know, in terms of just the literal combat. I haven't played Final Fantasy Remake. I don't know, it seems to be entirely independent of that, you know, title-wise, and for me, gameplay-wise. I mean, I believe they do this similar on face value. But if I'm literally breaking them down, I would have put money on it at polar opposites, and I could explain why, but I'm not going to. And I feel like I did earlier on. Where I'm going with this is, alright. Like, okay. All I'm saying is, like, I hate to talk about this game even in the way that I am, despite all the amazing things that are going to happen in the next video, because look at everything that's happening in this video. And I say all this, like, even, I think this is in no way, shape, or form related to Final Fantasy VII remake because of the title, because of how the game played out, because of what happened in the second video and how I played it. Like, I'm just connecting the dots, literally. So, I mean, like, this space, like what's happening now, literally with me losing my train of thought. With where I was talking about how people could interpret what my channel means, and this kind of message that's literally not being sent because the message that's being sent is one of, I don't know how else to say it other than shame. It's because that's the case that the truth, which is a shame, is now being misinterpreted in a space that, is probably going to exist, period, but, is with interest. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of why I'm losing my train of thought now. Like, you know, I think this game is just like everything else I have on the channel. Games where I play them because I wanted to play them, and I think everything that's come out is just a reflection of people that probably worked on them, in all fairness. But because of what's happening in this reality, right? Things get distorted when they were already distorted, right? So, people become short of breath, or I just said that because it's clearly not the case, but I'm interpreting it as such because it is the case, and that's where I'm going with this, right? So, like, I'm not short of breath. I know what being short of breath feels like. I'm just having trouble speaking. But the fact that I just now thought about myself as being short of breath, with that being the case, is precisely why. Like, these games, what I want people to get out of them, and the videos I upload, right? I want them to enjoy what's there because I think that's why it was made, to be quite frank. And, you know, even with I play them a certain way because that's how I want to enjoy them, with the literal way that I play them. I'm being honest here. So, I hate to say that because it's putting me in a light that I'm not trying to be in, and that I'm not in. But even with the thumbnails that are on the videos, and the gameplay that comes out of them, it doesn't really add up, does it? Because in reality, it's the exact opposite. But what you're seeing is a reflection of what other people have done, which I'm just sharing. But with that being the case, it looks like I'm trying to do something. Alright, people could interpret me as doing something that, like, is kind of like maybe OD. I really don't feel like people have interpreted any of it that way, but I could see how they would, and potentially in this new space, because of how things have gotten. So, like, with that being the case, you have to kind of, I'm just trying to share what other people have worked on, and because there are things that interest me and have always interested me, to be quite honest, I'm glad I've gotten a chance to do it ever since I made the channel, because there was things that I was doing in my spare time since I was a kid, right? So the fact that I'm able to do that now, I think people have enjoyed everything that I uploaded. I don't think people have. Ever since I've shared, I felt accepted, because I mean, I just hope people can enjoy what I'm trying to do, right? So with that being the case, even within this new space, I feel like people can interpret it wrong, even though they haven't thus far, in my opinion, from my experience. But like, the fact that we're even going there now is like a reflection of just what I'm trying to do, especially with some of these uploads, and even with the thumbnails. You know, I'm not trying to stunt. I'm just trying to share what other people have worked on, right? So like, with that being the case, we have to understand what goes into that. You know, a good example, since I was young, the first time I saw a cartoon, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because I knew exactly what it was before anyone told me. I knew exactly what it was. So like, the older I got, and the more that kind of evolved, like, you know, it was just reinstating something into me that I had already known. And with it kind of being something that, like, hopefully by default applies to most people. And I think that's what that genre aims to do. It was something I thought people would kind of like catch on to, and to be quite honest, like, I mean, it's kind of one of my, excuse me, I'm sorry, which is kind of why my PlayStation account that's banned now, Tokyo Disney World account, is kind of why it is what it is. Like, I've never explained this to anybody, but the reason behind that name was because there was a character in a mobile game I played called High Noon, and like, on the top 50 or something list, I think he was there one time in that game, in the rankings in the world, and his name was Hong Kong Disneyland, all caps. And nothing stood out to me other than the fact that it was Hong Kong Disneyland. That's the true meaning behind Tokyo Disney World. I just threw the other part onto it because for me it was like insult to injury because of what was happening. But what was not happening with me is what led to the Tokyo Disney World. But the true origin of it is the Hong Kong Disney World, the game I used to play called High Noon. There you go, happy latte. I don't remember. I mean, my point being, you know, things like anime, you know, you know, a video game, you know, I'm just trying to share what people have done, and more importantly, doing something that I want to do and like, and to be quite honest, love, you know, ever since I was little. That's why I've, you know, been like talking about Octopath Traveler the way I have so much, because it's something I've always done and liked. But where I'm going with this is, you know, these kind of weird distortions of already kind of like shameful truths, like, in conjunction with the fact that, you know, things are what they are and what they were, kind of well before COVID, right? So like, I don't know, it's definitely interesting, but I find, and have always found solace in a video game. I don't know what it was. It did start with like things like Ruby and Sapphire, if I were to be honest. I'm just talking about in terms of things that I saw older kids doing around me, and with each other and amongst themselves, which led to me doing it genuinely And what came after that is a reflection of what you're not seeing on the channel. I mean, that's how magical those games were for me. You know, things I wouldn't be doing otherwise. But I mean, you know, like I said, I'm gonna make this video. Hopefully, the next one. You know, this next Gundam video playlist that I plan to make, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I've got the parts needed for it. I think people would enjoy seeing the Z Gundam played in that space, especially with those effects, potential effects on it. And that'll be it for Gundam SD Battle Alliance 2. I think the cutscene replays in conjunction with just that and the lore behind the series, in conjunction with everything that's come out of the Beam Saber, it'll be a nice farewell to that game. Me doing that playlist. I'm going to do that on the PS4 I've currently got. Because again, I want to get that done before it escapes my mind, and I do worry that that might be the case despite everything that's on the channel. But like, I'm going to finish these two videos. Like I said, I'm genuinely happy I'm getting some Final Fantasy content back on the channel. And you know, and then what, you know, so that hopeful future streams of games that I've already got on the channel that I really have piqued my interest. Finishing up Gundam SD Battle Alliance. You know, after that's all said and done, I mean, that's my plan. I just want to let people know that's probably going to be the case now, but I'm still around. You know, I've still, you know, watch my own videos, watch other people's videos. I'm always in the community like that, but like, I have to be right. But with the uploads themselves, like, I want to go back and watch them, honestly, you know, and enjoy them, enjoy some of the other people and what they have to say in that space, which it is and has always been fun. You know, but I have no problem having to, you know, watch them to earn their views, if that makes sense. And I think that's always been the case because I've had disputes about trying to get more views on my videos. Because you can kind of cheese like the system. I think people have, I don't know, YouTube has undergone massive updates, so it definitely might not be the case, but it wasn't going to be for my channel. And I don't have a problem with that, because I don't have a problem playing the games, because again, I enjoy them and I want other people to enjoy them. So that's really all I'm going to go with that. But some of these encounters are fun, obviously. I don't think I failed too many times. I think this is Bahamut, and pretty much I failed a couple times because the fights themselves were hard, but I mean, like, you definitely, it wasn't something that was impossible. I will say, after this video, but before I got the Buster Sword, obviously that fight with whatever his counterpart in this video is, when they were infiltrating the castle and he's got a Buster Sword himself, I think he just made an appearance. I wasn't paying attention because I was talking about other things. You have to fight a version of him where he's like fused with like a beast. And I don't want to explain how I did it, but it was incredibly difficult. Outside of that, this gameplay is, I've tried not to say it in this video, and I don't think I have, but what you're seeing is what you're getting, but saying that is just like god awful, if that makes sense. So like, where you go from that is, you know, why you feel bad when you say things like that, despite what you're saying, because it does look very nice even though it's on the PS4. I hope the video stuff will come out looking pretty good. You know, I really, like, I think it'll be a cool kind of farewell, like not, I mean, it'll be a nice close to what I'm doing here. And I feel like that's how I want to end this video, in the thought that I have going on. Like, you know, I'm going to continue to like videos on, like, you know, I've always been comfortable. And I make this video, you know, it's going on my like video playlist, but that's not the point with what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to explain what I plan on doing. Excuse me, the enjoyment I get from both sides of it. The odd interpretations of, I think, shameful truths. None of these are topics I thought about before I started making the video. I'm just reflecting on like what I've been talking about and where I plan to go. Like, you know, again, I'm explaining what I plan on doing with the channel. I mean, that's pretty much going to be it. Mainly because, again, I don't think, I'm not short of breath like that. You know, do I? Have I gotten past a horse? Who doesn't? But I'm saying, like, I'm just trying to speak. And I definitely don't recall this being the case in the past. So that's definitely, and I don't think that's going to be an issue because it really won't affect my plans per what I just plan to do and what I have already done. Not saying like I've climbed Mount Olympus. I mean, these are games, everything I've done, you know, that's on the channel is something I was going to do regardless. It's just quite, you know, it's a blessing that it turned out the way it did. I can't say anything else, but like, with respect to what's going to happen, that's probably going to be the case. You know, it didn't actually occur to me until obviously I had this issue, and I made Witch on the Holy Night. You know, I didn't. I definitely don't recall that being the case in the past, and that's a talking point I definitely didn't think and kind of, quite frankly, want to talk about, period, especially in this video. So, you know, again, kind of try to go back to square one, but that's going to be it. I mean, yeah, I've worked hard, everyone else has as well. That's what's best, that's like the best part about this, so I mean, that's been like the best part of YouTube, is just, you know, seeing what else is going on. So I'll definitely be around, but after I finish everything else I've started, SD Gundam Battle Alliance, this Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, you know. After that, there'll probably be like, you know, some time before I get my hands on a PlayStation 5 and can play it with Octopath Traveler 2. Hopefully do everything I want to do in that game. And I don't know, that's probably gonna be it. I mean, that'll probably be it, and then just going back and being able to be a part of what I've always been since I started uploading to YouTube. I think it just sounds like it does because of I don't know, to be quite honest. But this game was incredibly fun to play. You know, Kingdom Hearts beach vibes. So that's gonna be it. I mean, like I said, I really wanna. I don't think people understand how much enjoyment I get from other people's content, and just especially, yeah, anyone who is really doing anything, period. But decided to really try a video, like just because I'm uploading Ultra Sun videos, and Nintendo Switch is a thing, and not only is it a thing, but there's games that are like Scarlet and Violet out. It's not a bad thing. It's just what I'm doing relative to what's happening. But with that being the case, I did want to let people know: am I not watching Ultra Sun videos? Period. I mean, Scarlet and Violet videos. Period. Absolutely not. There's people who are playing that game or have played that game, you know, and talk over it, and it's fun. And there's people who are just playing it and uploading, like, you know, just uploading it, like what I plan to do with Octopath Traveler 2. So, like, my point being, it's hard for me to keep my train of thought. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, but it's you know, because I'm uploading Ultra Sun videos, and Nintendo Switch is a thing. Not only is it a thing, but Scarlet and Violet exists. Do I wish I could be playing Scarlet and Violet? Absolutely. Am I hurt? No, but because I'm playing things like Ultra Sun. Is it weird? Of course. Everyone knows that. But I did want to let people know, like, am I not watching? I'm watching other people's videos, you know. I'm watching other people's videos, not just games that I've played. But, you know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, and the fact that that's a reality, it's kind of weird, isn't it? You know, is that why I'm losing my train of thought when I'm trying to just kind of talk about something like this? I don't know. You know, now after attempting to make this, especially after having made Witch on the Holy Night, you know, why am I having trouble literally speaking? You know, it's not an issue in this video. I doubt I'm going to have to take a second break before it ends, but, you know, why am I going to have to use the restroom a couple times in the next video because I'm having to drink water throughout the course of a video that's slightly under 3 hours? This is for the next video. This one eclipsed 3 hours. But, you know, I don't know. I kind of wish it were in the case, though. I don't mind that it is, you know, why it is and has been for quite some time. I don't know. But that's a whole nother anomaly, to be honest. But the fact that it is, given everything that is happening, is like, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But anyways, I mean, yeah, so those are my plans. That's all. Um, you know, even stuff that are on my like video playlist now. I might like a couple of videos here and there, but I don't plan on stop doing that either. I want to continue to like videos I like. So I just wanted to give it like an update on what's on the channel, why it is the way it is, my plans. You know, I'm gonna make these videos. I'm gonna finish ST Gundam Battle Lines with the Z Gundam Principality of Xeon build. Hopefully get a PlayStation 5, fingers crossed. Finish Octopath Traveler 2. And yeah, I mean, those are my plans. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. How that plays out, given the space-time continuum. It's not even funny, because it's not funny. But I mean, how that plays out, those are my plans. I'm gonna like videos here and there, obviously, like I've always done, albeit by default or because of things I genuinely like or things I want to draw attention to. All of the sort. I mean, that's kind of what that playlist is at this point. But I don't know. I don't.
いやそれが全然社内法には名前も載ってなかったぞ。テレビはセフィロスの活躍のためって言ってるしな。
だってセフィロスは B 隊で。
ま、英雄はメディアが作るってことさ。
I will say, like, now that I'm talking about this, and that I have kind of talked about it, and that by default it kind of became the case in retrospect, especially given recent uploads of the sort. Like, I kind of want to talk about this space because it's kind of been popping off recently, and I hate that's the case. And I feel it's appropriate to talk about it, especially because I touched on this in the past when I had an issue when I was playing Bloodstained in the past, like a similar issue of kind of like space time management, literal. Like there's times like where I feel like it affects me in a negative way, in a serious manner, which is odd because like especially with, like stuff that I'm working on, I feel like that shouldn't be the case, but it so oftentimes is, and the fact that it's not given what is happening I think is the issue, and the fact that I'm able to say something that sounds that convoluted is odd, right? And that's my point. I don't know, I kind of want to leave it at that, but like the fact that that's even a reality is weird. And I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the stuff that recent uploads, when I talked about Scarlet Nexus, I was just trying to tie that into the Final Fantasy First Soldier topic, which I probably could remember at this point, but I don't want to lose my current train of thought. So, um, I say all these things, but like I'm hindering my view on this game in particular. Like this is Hojo right here, and in the next video I'll do all of his experiments in that are missions obviously, but they're specific to him, and it played out. It couldn't have played out more beautifully story wise. But like, despite that, even my experience in a video like this, and it's I mean, it's an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. Like most things I do and see nowadays. I mean, so the fact that I even was talking about some of the stuff I was talking about earlier, despite not just my experience in this game, despite what's going to happen in the next video, even some of the stuff that's happening in this video, like it's, I don't know, it's kind of feels like 2 plus 2 equals 4, but it's not though, and it kind of hasn't been, but it is. Even in like the games I'm playing, right? Like people, like I'm just playing these games like I always have, and I'm very very grateful that things have turned out the way they have this far. Not just in Gundam SD Battle Lines, but in Pokemon as well. I was gonna play those games regardless. I'm very, very happy that I was able to share those. But I was going to play them regardless. So, and the fact that I'm able to do what I'm doing, I'm grateful for it. I've always been grateful for it. But I mean, like, because of all this other stuff that's not happening, that is precisely why I went on a rant that no one probably understood a couple seconds ago. Is that regardless of what I'm going to do or plan or would hope to do with Octopath Traveler 2 on a PS5, despite that, is that why I'm like having trouble speaking? I don't know. It's something I haven't, the speaking thing I haven't noticed until this video. But, I mean, it's kind of how things have progressed. But, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a time where, like, hopefully, I can speak again on YouTube. But if not, this video and the next one, in conjunction with everything I've already done, let's give people time to not just watch it, but like let people that have worked on those games kind of tell the story they want to tell and let everyone kind of reflect on it while continuing to enjoy it, which I think is what we've always done. But you know, hopefully people can understand. I still cannot get over this watermark. I'm so stoked that that's on there.
Activating combat mode.
It's awesome. It's awesome that Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. It looks pretty much identical relative to what I remember that one being.
Conflict resolved.
So, you know, the game I'm playing, the fact that that's a reality and I'm able to make it, you know, again, all thumbs up. It's always been thumbs up, but I mean, like, you know, like recently, though, man, it's that space where it's like, damn. Like, but this is Hojo, by the way. I really couldn't tell you much outside of who he is. He's the one. I had an idea if I was going to play this for 3 hours. I knew I wasn't going to get the Buster Sword, so I saw people talking about it online in that way. But that didn't bother me, or definitely didn't prevent me from making the video, and it didn't prevent me from unlocking it after making this video. And you know, with that being said, I can hardly remember where I'm going. You know, with this game, with what it is and what I did, and the fact that there's, you know, it's. I didn't know that was a thing, but damn, I'm glad it is. You know, but there are these other things that are happening. So that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, that's Hojo, and like so. I knew I was going to be doing missions in the next video exclusively. Wherever this video ended after 3 hours is what was going to get caught regardless, right? So after I captured the footage I'm speaking over now, I unlocked the Buster Sword. Okay, so after I unlocked the Buster Sword, I immediately saved and turned the game off. Or actually, after the game, it lets you know, like, you've beaten the chapter, and I think it lets you know you've got the Buster Sword. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember, even though it just happened recently. It's terrible, isn't it? But what you do is, that's what I did. I cut off the game after I got the sword, after making this video. So, or getting, you know, making this video. So, second video, I knew I was going to be doing missions exclusively, but then when I saw there was a playlist titled Hojo's Experiments, that's what I did, and the items that I was getting, and the stuff that was happening, I hope people, I mean, I think anyone who, I think people would like it, so, and they should, they really should, because people worked hard on it, and I've always enjoyed it, and I couldn't be more happy with what I'm doing. What she, what am I talking about? I did that earlier. What am I talking about? This game was awesome. It really was. So, I was talking about something that totally escaped my mind, didn't it? Can't remember what I was talking about. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that, like, oh man, I hope this isn't. Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I hope I didn't just pause until the end of the game trying to burn time, but clearly that's not the case because I knew I was gonna have to do a voiceover. I think this video ends like where it's supposed to.
Activating combat mode.
I had a point. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I didn't plan on talking about what I was gonna do with the channel, even though I knew it was probably something that's gonna come up in a 3-hour-long video like this. But I mean, that's it. I don't think people should feel some type of way, but this will probably end up being the last time I do, you know, a video like this. But I'm not done uploading after I do it, and then to kind of transition into my next topic, like Octopath Traveler 5 on the PS5. It's probably gonna be. So I don't want people to trip because now that I'm thinking about it, this probably will be the last time that I will be doing. I'm still gonna be around making videos. I still have stuff I'm gonna be doing, especially after I make these next two. But realistically, I can't imagine me, you know. So, you know, we'll all enjoy the Gundam streams. Silver Lining, Octopath Traveler, and a PS5, and I'm still gonna be liking videos. Hopefully, may not be for a minute because I really do want to go back and watch something I played. It's kind of weird, but I definitely think this looks a little bit different from when I played it. Now that I'm looking at it, especially at this boss in particular, I noticed it at the beginning, but there's a stark difference. It's like it looks definitely different when I played it. I think it's just like all these games after I open and sometimes have to do what I do to them in order to get them online. They look different from when I played them, but that's just because everything that I'm playing, even though it's on PS4, I'm playing on a TV, it's gonna look beautiful to me. It always has. Now, if I'm playing even, like, you know, if I get a PS4 Pro, it's gonna be looking even better on that than PS5, probably. And it's the next generation console, so the fact that I'm even talking about how it's gonna look in contrast to what's gonna look like on a PS4 Pro with me playing on a PS4 is just a reflection of what's not happening, which is weird because I am continuing to make these videos. So, yeah. It would seem as if we're always at odds with these types of things. But I'm not tripping. I mean, I'm gonna make these next two and tie up some loose ends with SD Gundam Battle Alliance and hopefully finish out with Octopath Traveler 2. And that's probably gonna be it. I mean, like I said, I'll be around liking videos. In the next video, it's gonna be different than this one. This video, I kind of knew it was gonna be like this. I mean, I don't think I've really ever made a video quite like this where I knew it was going to be this long and not going to have that many talking points about what I'm actually playing, despite how cool it actually was. Like, that's mainly because what you're seeing is what's happening, and you know, I played it. There were some things I had to talk about and did and hate that I had to during a video like this, but you know, I had to. And to be quite honest, it's not going to happen in the second video, which made, you know, talking about other things something I knew I would have to do, but it was going to be difficult because of how long this video was going to be. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the next video is not going to be like this. I'm going to be reading emails on this video, talking about items I'm equipping from, you know, equipping from missions, you know, you're gonna see me with a different sword, but I got that sword off camera, remade a video after I got it, only to not use it. You know, who was that guy I was just talking to? That was Hojo. You know, I'm going to be doing his experiments in the next video. I don't know the Final Fantasy lore. I think that was where I was going earlier, but forgot. But I think he's like one of those characters where there's shady and then there's him, to be quite honest. Because in Final Fantasy VII, I think it's clear Hojo is less than desirable. Because one thing I think people kind of overlook about Final Fantasy relative to what's going on, which is probably why things like Scarlet and Violet exist on the Switch, to be quite honest, is Cloud and some of these main characters, Zack included, you know, it exists in the game, it exists and it's fun, and even after playing something like Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, it's clear. I mean, there was almost like the most homey family vibe I've ever gotten. But that aside, like, you know, it's clear that these games are trying to send off a greater message, but it's easy to get lost in transition, is my point. And so, with Final Fantasy VII being a thing and how it's evolved over the years, and probably who Hojo's always been, but you know, how he's portrayed in some videos I've seen on YouTube that were about Sephiroth in particular relative to some of the emails I'm going to read in the next video, items I'm getting from missions that are exclusive to him that I've unlocked since getting the Buster Sword along the way from off-camera and on-camera grinding, is what makes the next video so, you know, it's going to make it is what it is. You know, I'm going to be doing, I think there's one time in the video I do 9,999 damage. You know, so between this video and the next one, there's clearly like, this is 3 hours, the next one's 2 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know how long I grinded off camera, but it couldn't have been more than, what? We know it's not 10, but feel bad saying 5, you know, so you're doing that much damage after playing. It's hard to say that that's how the story is supposed to be, but we all kind of feel that's how it is, especially that's how it felt for me after having played it, you know. It's what makes this video so odd, knowing what I had to do and how long it was going to be, and despite this game being what it was and everything that's on the channel now is what led to this being the kind of anomaly that it's been thus far. But I'm hoping in the next video that won't be the case, because there will be a lot of talking points. I probably will have to take breaks. I haven't thought much about that now that the end of the video is coming up. I'm probably going to be doing just as much talking. I'm hoping there'll be more focused talking points, and it'll be definitely more focused on the game. You know, like I said, I cap out in the next video 9,900. I think I do max damage. All I saw was 9s, and I was using magic, which is pretty cool given the missions I was attending and some of the characters, is my point. So I'm hoping it won't be as weird as this video may have been to some people. There will be breaks in the next video. I don't think it'll affect the break in this video is going to cause about a 2 second difference in what I'm seeing and how I'm recording the audio, so I'll make up for that difference in how I'm going to end this video. But with the other breaks I'll probably be taking tomorrow, that shouldn't be an issue at all, but there might be about 3 or 4 times because I'm going to have to drink water. I'm not out of breath, but I am having trouble speaking, so I've got about a minute, so I think I need to do the math, as terrible as this sounds. So 250, 18, I'm looking at 30, 40, 50.
テリア合成は発展途上の技術と
First
組み
off,
合わ
what
せ
is
とその
every
結果
3
など
hours?
全てを解明できたわけ
1
だから
second,
君も
1
いろいろ試してほ
millisecond,
しい
.72? Oh, that's 1 hour, 1 minute, and 72 seconds.
着替えは済んだかな
ああ
So
マ
I've
テリ
got
ア
about
合
a
成も
minute
バッチ
after
リだぜ
this.
では司令室まで戻ってくれ今回の任務を伝える
No,
了
no.
解
Oh, the end of the video is coming up like now. Alright, so I'm just gonna end it, say thank you, as always, thanks, and I'll be back in the next video.